Hi, my name is JJ Asghar, and I'm a developer advocate for IBM. Honestly, I don't know what that means anymore. I don't think anybody but does, but I'm here to talk about introduction to leveraging AI for your enterprise. After all the talks today, this is going to be seen very, very basic, but I've designed it to be that way because honestly, there's still a lot of people out there who've jumped into the space and don't fully grasp everything in what's going on. So I'm going to go over some basic topics and introduce you to some open source software that hopefully will make your lives a little bit easier. And by the way, I really do have the email address of awesome@ibm.com. So you're more than welcome to email me directly there. And I'd love to continue this conversation after the fact. So, what does this talk about? The AI world is massive and there's things left and right. I'm here to tell you the terms and topics you need so you can pay attention to 2023 and hopefully give you the foundation to explore it for yourself. Again, we're going back to the basics here because when you start engaging in this space, there's certain terms and technologies you frankly are overwhelmed with. So let's build a foundational model to get front. That was a pun. Let's build a foundation together so we can be able to really grow from there. You should see all these logos by now. And yes, one is Watson X from IBM. If you haven't heard about that yet, I would be remiss not to mention IBM in this space. So yes, we are actually here. There are other ones you should know, with ChatGPT and OpenAI. And this company is in this environment has been taking a storm. If you really do want enterprise grade AI, though, you really should take a moment and look at Watson X. The TLDR of Watson X is pretty straightforward. You have an interface to the AI work, and the core values of foundational models and the trusted and vetted. Right now, getting OpenAI out there to be able to actually see how ChatGPT was built is next to impossible. But with Watson X, you'll actually be able to access those foundational models. For an enterprise, this is a huge value add. But there's another logo on here I haven't actually talked about, which is the little face. So, what is Hugging Face? Hugging Face has become the de facto standard, or hell, the GitHub of models online. There's a whole ecosystem around Hugging Face. And if you're walking into this world, if especially from an open source standpoint, you should really take Hugging Face as the GitHub and where you can get a lot of the things you're looking for. They've written some wonderful wrappers and interfaces to build off publicly accessible code that allow you to do AI work as a whole. We'll see some of it in a bit, just to make sure that you actually can recognize that you can run this on your laptop yourself. Once again, I do need to mention Watson X, which is the TLDR of it is it's a straightforward interface to your AI. The core value is the foundational models that we'll be working with and releasing soon that are trusted and vetted. You'll actually be able to see where they come from to make sure they're not poisoned. Because as we're moving more into this space, you need to know where this code is being generated from or how this model is being created. Because as you pick away at not knowing if that code has been attributed correctly or if the ideas aren't attributed correctly either, that starts putting chips away at the way all of our IP law is done. So this is very, very important for a global economy. I cannot stress enough. Enterprises really need to focus on this problem, and there's many things in the U.S. here, at least, that have legal challenges going back and forth. So please take an eye on it and look for the other options out there that aren't just what what are hot and shiny right now. Okay, again, let's talk about some AI terms to make sure that we have a couple moments to make sure that we're all speaking the same language. There's a whole crazy ecosystem in this space, right? Like there's most people think there's all crazy math and as my daughter says, big brain things. If you're looking to leverage AI and not the not to program the core portions of it, these teams really need to be aware of. Let's think of it this way. Let's learn how to use Microsoft Word instead of programming Microsoft Word, right? That's how we need to look at AI. It needs to be part of our workflow of something that we all know how to use and it's everywhere. but we don't actually have to build the actual thing. We can just leverage it as a technology. So, first thing first, what is a model? It's the black box of the AI space. Most people know models as like a weather model are not far from in the use case, right? Normally, there's 3 or 4 models to figure out what the weather is, and they build on percentages of what you say. Just like that, a model is used for AI work, the same way that it actually does for figuring out the brain of the AI. You create and train these and shove data into the desired out to get the desired outcomes. Remember though, like all programs, good data in, good data out. On the flip side, garbage in, garbage out. I mentioned data. So what's this data set that we keep talking about? This is the data the AI crunches to start to figure out what the model needs to do. Sometimes it's a CSV, sometimes it's other files, but it's all cleaned data and what to read in. There are tons of theories on how you split up the data for a training model, but the general rule is a 70-30 split. JJ, you said training. What is training? You see what I did there? Nice little transition. No? Okay. It's the actual computation that creates the model. You take normally about 70% of your data, run it through PyTorch or TensorFlow software, and come out with the model. Then you take the other 30% of the data and test it against the model to have it check it against it. The higher to 1.0, the better you are. So let's shift gears and talk about types of models. There's a whole ecosystem of these things out there, and I'm going to go through through some of them one by one, so we can start venturing down the space. And I'm going to start doing an actual live demo here to show you how easy it is for you to be able to do this yourself. Natural language processing. This is the one that most people are starting to. This is actually one of the things that people got most introduced to before ChatGPT. It's the ability to understand the human language, or for computers to understand human language and process it. Hence the natural language processing, right? This is a space that most of not all of you all have exposure to. And these models are broken up into smaller categories, and let's each talk about one of each of them. Believe it or not, this is directly from Hugging Face, and this is all you need to do to use something called the set sentiment. This is a simple example of leveraging the model off of Hugging Face to figure out a sentiment of a sentence. The average of the Hugging Face, the advantage of a Hugging Face is you take just a bit of code, literally these 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of code, and with a small amount of setup, it's doing real AI work. This actually comes back with a 0.96 positive sentiment. So let's actually see this work. So give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to switch sharing my screen, I should say. Of course, I have some other stuff up here. Sentiment. And then we're going to stop sharing this screen. And we're going to share this screen. There we go. So as you can see, this is that exact same code. I have it just running inside of VS Code here. I'm going to go ahead and run it real fast. And just to prove to you it's actually doing something other than that, I'm pushing it through the Transformers pipeline, and today it came back at a 9. Oh, that is very small. It came back at a 95%. But you know what we're going to do? I'm going to say I'm very excited to be at Confer Conf. I believe that's 2 words. Just to prove to you that this is actually doing something, I'm going to go ahead and run that again. Make that just smaller. Oh no, I broke it. Let's try it again. Oh, I think that just came back with a 99, but we'll see what it comes back again. There we go. So that was a 99% positive line, which I thought was pretty neat. Okay, let's go back to the slide. So that's literally sentiment. It tells you if it's positive or negative. Well, actually, you know what? It is. If I didn't actually say, I'm in Austin, Texas right now, so I literally just woke up to do this talk. So I should say I'm very tired because it's early in the morning. Run that, and I'm betting that's going to be pretty negative. That's a negative one, and it's 99% sure that that was a negative statement. Which I mean, so you see both sides of the coin, right? Okay, let's go back to the other slides. Present share screen, entire screen. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about the next one, which is summarization. Just as it sounds, it's a model that summarizes things, right? You've probably seen summary bots on Reddit or maybe the random TLD bar bots you've seen out in news articles. I like to think of these things, at least in the US, we had these things called Cliff Note generators. Cliff Notes. They're generators that we had in high school. You know, when you saw Oliver Twist and you were told to read that whole book, and you're like, no, there's no way I'm going to read that whole book. You go by the Cliff Notes, which is this little yellow pamphlet thing that told you everything you need to know. Now we have an NLP model summarization that basically does that same thing. I'm very surprised that we don't see more of these, but they do exist. Now, this one we have seen many times through the public space. This is the text generation model. This is what when you go out to ChatGPT or whatever and ask for some level of generation uh, to ask you to write a sonnet or whatever, this comes back with this. This right here is all you need from Hugging Face to run a different model. This one is distilled ChatGPT 2, not ChatGPT 4. But the idea is this model will be run on your laptop where you can actually generate this stuff. Now, I do want to say this is a much more immature version of ChatGPT 4, which is coming from Hugging Face and open source. But it is important to see that you can run this on your laptop at home. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. There we go. Give me 1 second here. Ooh, can I just present another screen? That would be very nice. No, I cannot. That would have been too easy. Share screen, entire screen, share. All right. Here we go. Here is our text gen. I need to make this very much smaller. And then uh, in respect of my friends here in Norway, I've taken that exact same code and I changed my generator to my friend in Norway told me once. And we're going to go ahead and run just this right through that distilled GPT 2. And again, because this is on Hugging Face, right, I could pull down a different model. This is just by me doing the default stuff. But if you explore Hugging Face more, you realize very quickly what you can do. I'm going to go ahead and see what this bot or this model will tell me about what my friend in Norway told me once. Should come back with quite a bit because I gave a very big, nice, long ability to give me a good amount of data for it. It's taking a second. I'm hearing my laptop fan spin up here. There we go. Whoa, that's a lot of text. My friend in Norway told me once, one week, a friend asking, "Where's your cousin?" And I kept asking, which actually, honestly, the honestly one he wanted. She thought she was a perfect comment. That it was a perfect comment. Well, as you see, it's gibberish. It's not great. Again, it's a very immature model, but it gave me a whole, I would call, narrative around a friend in Norway, which is pretty neat, right? You can't not say that's not cool. All right, let's go back to the slides. Share screen, window. All right. Oops. Now, now that we talked about the natural language processing, there's another space called computer vision. This is where people start. There's a whole world of conversation around these things, but it is important to recognize that this is where the majority of the public is going to start really starting to pay attention to to uh, uh, to AI as a whole. It's exactly as it sounds. It's the ability for us to train models to figure things out and identify them. It's the slippery slope of AI and sci-fi movies that they've warned us about. More so than just text going back and forth. It's when computers can start seeing things and identifying things. That's when things start getting interesting. What I'm going to talk about first is something called image segmentation. Now, this right here, this is where I'm going to bring in another open source project called Hugging Face, and I'm going to share my screen again in one moment. Here we go. Share screen. Sorry, it's not Hugging Face. KKit Hugging Face. This is called KKit Hugging Face demo. This is an open source project where we are going to run a interface on top of KKit, or sorry, something called KKit that Hugging Face is underneath that allows us to run models locally. It's a really straightforward example on how to get this up and running. Please give it, if you can, a shot if you can yourself. All you need is Python version 3.8, and it gives you a, a good UI to be able to actually play with this stuff. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to, as you can see, I was testing it earlier. I'm going to spin it up real fast, and don't make a liar out of me. As this is going, as you can see, it's just a handful of commands. You check out a repo, and it has some built-in models yourself. That, as a follow-up to this talk, I'll actually be showing how to train these types of models and build off of it. But we're going to go ahead and come here, and that's the wrong window. Copy, go away over here, and here we go. This is actually quite small. But this is the Hugging Face examples running on KKit. Again, KKit is also gRPC API endpoint, so you can actually just shove data gRPC to it, and it'll actually it'll push through that stuff. But we're going to talk about image segmentation. So I'm going to take this image segmentation tab right here and grab this image. I will click to upload. I will find this wonderful picture of me. I believe it's under pictures. Right here. And we're going to go, I'm actually running it right now, right? Like I'm running on my laptop, just like I was doing with the natural language processing. Now I'm actually doing image segmentation live right there. This was at KubeCon EU actually during the uh, open OpenShift Commons. I was sitting out there, and for some reason somebody got me in this picture, so thought it was fun. We'll give it a couple more seconds here. My testing took about 30 seconds to 40 seconds, so we'll see where it comes in right now. And thinking about it. Oh, wow, it's taking a lot longer today. I don't know why. This was only supposed to take 40 seconds, so we'll give it just a couple more. Maybe. Okay, while that's still going, I'm going to be present of time, and I'm going to go back to my slides, and we'll talk about the next one. Uh, oh, and of course, as soon as I click away, it comes back to me right here. So as you can see here, the segments is detected. It was 100% a person. They found a cup, a bowl, a person, windows. Now, if you look over down in the corner here, Obviously, that's me, right? Um, what's really interesting is this one right here. It figured out this was a potted plant, right? Like this little bit. It knew how to pull that out. And then it figured out that's another person right there. And then it figured out that's a counter. So already this open source model has identified all these different things outside of out of a picture, which in a grand scheme of things, that's very impressive. Like, and it only took 60 seconds for it to go through. And this is on my laptop. If I gave it real computing power, imagine what it could be doing then. Okay, so we're gonna go back to this one. Now, of course, at least in the U.S., in the nerd culture, there's this great show called Silicon Valley, and hot dog, not a hot dog. Image classification, of course, is another space that we need to talk about, and I had to put this in there. Hot dog, not a hot dog. That's a very good running joke in this ecosystem too, especially on the open source side. So take a moment to check that out. Now, the next one is object detection. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to, while this is up, run that exact same picture through the object detection model on another screen real quick and see if it comes back in a reasonable amount of time. Oh, it does, of course. There we go. And I just ran this live, but didn't want to take up too much time. Screen. Sure. As you can see here, that exact same picture. Um, you can actually see this text if I downloaded this image, but it actually figured out there's actually 5 people in this picture, which if you actually look, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I believe that's a foot over there, 5. It figured out the potted plant. It even figured out that that's a bowl right there, which is neat. And then that's some cake. So now extrapolate that farther. Instead of just breaking up the image now we've actually detected all the different things. So one of the best stories I've heard with object detection is you start pushing this through traffic cameras and it finds an accident. Now you can deploy EMS, emergency services to that location because there's a crash there, right? Instead of waiting for them to call in to say, "Hey, I'm hurt," now traffic cameras can proactively look for these things, which is great for our society as a whole. But again, back to that slippery slope when you start opening up these conversations a little bit farther. All right. Present share screen. And I realize I'm coming up on time, so I'm going to speed up just a tad bit. Here we go. Sure. The final group is we're going to talk about the multi-model. Now, this is the one that kind of took the what's a good word for it? The general public by storm. Not so much as the NLP and this vision statement, but the multi-model. This is the one of the DALL-Es of the world. Create me an armchair that looks like the shape of an avocado, and it comes back with a bunch of different options for it. This is what a lot of people think about when they think about AI, which is fun. Don't get me wrong. I mean, who doesn't love avocados, right? But it's important to recognize that this is just a portion of the AI space. And the space too is 2 different portions smashed together, hence the multi-model. NVIDIA recently came out. This is actually from the NVIDIA website. I couldn't actually find the video, unfortunately, where they have a text to video speech. They also have, I think, Meta also still has it too. And it's for whatever reason they wanted a stormtrooper vacuuming a beach. I don't know. It's weird. I know, but they made it happen. So that's good to see. So you have the ability to give it a prompt, and it comes back with a video. If you ever do find that video or this video, please email me. Awesome at ibm.com. And please, I'd love to continue this conversation with anyone. And I hope you enjoyed my talk. Thank you so much.